The night is quiet now, like a soft breath resting on your window. You've made it through another long day full of choices, messages, tasks, the feeling of doing a little too much and never quite finishing. Now the world has slowed, and this moment belongs only to you. Imagine a small cabin porch at the edge of a wide lake. The wood beneath you is cool from the evening air. The lake holds the moonlight like a silver plate, steady and wide. Nearby, tall pines stand shoulder to shoulder, dark against the fading sky. Nothing here is asking for anything from you. Your body remembers the pace of the day, shoulders lifted, jaw slightly tight, thoughts weaving together even when you're tired. Let them settle the way the lake settles after a small ripple. Just one gentle breath in and one slow breath out. Feel the air move like a kind friend. On the porch, the night carries simple sounds. A single cricket steady, unhurried, water tapping lightly against the old dock, the wind brushing the needles of the pine like a soft hand over a blanket. Each sound gives your mind a place to rest, just for a moment. You may feel the weight of life, even hear work that follows you into the evening. The quiet, wondering about money, a family you love but feel responsible for. The thoughts that keep circling after the lights go out. These things can collect inside like a knot of thin wires, each one pulling in a different direction. Tonight, you don't have to solve any of it. You're just sitting with the lake. Breathe again slowly, as if your ribs are opening just enough for the night to enter. Your shoulders ease down. Your hands soften. Your face lets go of the effort it held through the day. No performance. No perfect posture. Just gravity doing the work for you. The porch boards are old, worn smooth by years of bare feet. You can imagine their warmth from a summer afternoon still resting inside the grain. A mug sits beside you, warm enough to hold, but not hot. You don't need to drink, just feel the quiet comfort of having something simple, something warm, something steady. There's space here for everything you carried. Not to organize it or name it, just space. Thoughts that used to spin start drifting like thin clouds over the lake. One passes, another follows. You don't chase them. The lake doesn't chase reflections, it just holds them until they fade on their own. The mind can be like this. Not a battle, not a puzzle to fix before sleep. Just a wide, still surface where things come and go, leaving no mark. Even the busy mind can rest when it feels safe, when nothing is pushing it to be different than it is. Feel your breath again. Slower now. Notice the small release at the back of your tongue. Your chest moves like the surface of the water barely there. This is the simple rhythm of being alive, without effort. If these nights help you feel a little softer, a little more able to rest, you're welcome to subscribe so you don't have to search next time. And if you want, leave a tiny sign in the comments. 1, if it helped. 2, if it didn't, no explanation needed. Now, let the porch and the lake fade into the background. Like a dream you can return to any time. Your breath stays steady. The night gently holding you. Let's begin the first story. Story 01. The Buddha was sitting under a broad shade tree near the riverbank. The air was still, warm enough to soften the breath. A Brahmin approached, his face tight from long arguments at home and work, words still echoing in his mind. He spoke sharply, throwing his anger like stones at the Buddha. He was worn out by expectations, feeling unseen in his own house, tired of being the one who must always hold everything together. The Buddha listened Without pushing back, he said calmly, in his own simple way, that anger is like a gift if you choose not to take it. It stays with the one who offered it. Something loosened in the Brahmin's chest. His breath slowed. He realized he didn't need to win anything here. You might notice, when someone snaps at you after a long day, it's often their pain speaking old stories, tight habits, fear of not being enough. Maybe you felt that pinch inside when you tried to force your point. The lesson: you don't have to receive every flame handed to you. Your silence can be the cool air around it. Practice. Place one hand on your belly. Take 5 slow breaths, imagining anger passing through you like wind through leaves. Without catching. Story 02. In a village near the hills, a young mother came to the Buddha holding her child close. Her face showed the weight of loss the child had passed, and her mind was a storm of why. Is Buddha? She begged the Buddha for a cure. She couldn't sleep. The evenings felt endless. Filled with memories she wished she could change. The Buddha asked her to bring mustard seeds from a home untouched by death. She walked from door to door, hearing stories of parents, partners, friends. Every house had known loss. Her breath deepened. Her steps slowed. She felt less alone in her pain. You might know that feeling grief mixed with what if. Replaying moments while folding laundry or sitting at a red light. You're not the only one. The lesson: every house knows loss, and sharing it softens the heart. Practice for 1 minute. Say quietly, others have felt this too. Done. Let the truth be a comfort, not a burden. Story 03. The Buddha found a monk lying sick, ignored by others caught up in their routines. He knelt, cleaning the monk with his own hands. The room smelled of herbs, the silence like a gentle blanket. The other monks watched, ashamed. They had been busy temple chores, chanting schedules, their own thoughts filling the day. The Buddha said care is equal to the highest practice. If we can sit still for ourselves, we can stand up for someone in need. The monks' faces softened. They carried the monk with quiet respect. Maybe you've been so busy that you forgot someone close, needed tenderness, your partner, a co-worker, even yourself. Life gets loud. The lesson: caring for someone is caring for the whole world in that moment. Practice. Send one text tonight, thinking of you. 8. Simple, steady, human. Story 04. A soldier asked the Buddha why life hurts even when we try so hard to do things right. His armor was dusty. He carried worries about family, money, and his future after the battles. The Buddha spoke of an arrow. The first arrow is what happens. The second is the way we keep stabbing ourselves with our reactions, fear, replaying old scenes, building stories. The soldier breathed deeper, recognizing the second arrow in his sleepless nights. You might feel that too, lying awake, replaying conversations, imagining worst outcomes, even when nothing more can be done. The lesson: pain is one arrow. What we add is the second. Practice tonight. Name one second arrow thought. Then whisper, I don't need this now. I think. Story 05. On a quiet afternoon, the Buddha spoke of a raft. He described someone building one from reeds to cross a river. Once across, they wouldn't carry it on their back, they'd leave it gently by the shore. People often held beliefs like heavy rafts, old ideas from family, fears about money, endless rules about success. The Buddha smiled softly. The raft is for crossing, not clinging. Someone exhaled like they'd set down a work bag after a long commute. You may be holding a belief from years ago. You must please everyone. You must be perfect at work. You must never fail. Maybe it's time to thank the raft and let it go. The lesson: tools are for the journey, not forever. Practice. Write one habit you've outgrown on a small paper. Fold it. Set it aside. Story 06. A farmer rushed to the Buddha, complaining that life was never smooth. Crops failed. Market prices changed. His children argued. His partner seemed distant, and money never stretched far enough. He wanted a promise that all troubles would finally stop. His face was tight, like a rope pulled too hard. The Buddha said gently that everyone has 83 problems. Maybe we solve one, but another rises. Peace comes from the way we carry them, not from erasing them. The farmer's shoulders fell. He laughed through his tired breath. Maybe you hope for a life where inboxes are empty, family is calm, bills are easy, and the mind is quiet forever. But life moves. The lesson: freedom is in how you walk with your problems, not in having none. Practice. Breathe in for 4, out for 6. Say, I can carry this a little softer. In Reva. Story 07. King Pasenadi ate quickly, stressed by duties, war rumors, and the weight of his crown. He barely tasted his food, swallowing without pause. The Buddha invited him to slow down, noticing each bite, each breath. The king felt his body, not the throne. He tasted grains for the first time in months. His meal became steady, almost gentle. Maybe you rush dinner after a long day, answering messages while chewing, or eating just to move on to the next task. The lesson: when the body slows, the mind follows. Practice. Take 1 bite tonight and chew 10 times. Breathing once between bites. Story 08. A traveler came to the Buddha, thirsty and tired. He wanted water and wisdom at the same time, like someone needing rest but opening their inbox instead. The Buddha pointed to a nearby well. Drink first, he said through action, not talk. The traveler drank, and his mind cleared like dust settling. Only then did he ask his question. Maybe you try to solve big problems on an empty mind late at night. Low energy. Pushing through. The lesson: care for the body makes the mind clear. Practice. Sip a glass of water slowly before any hard decision. Story 09. The Buddha showed how one candle can light many without losing its flame. He handed a small flame from one lamp to another, then another, the room warming with gentle light. People watched, understanding that kindness doesn't drain the giver, it multiplies. Their faces brightened, like someone hearing a kind word after a long day. Maybe you feared giving too much at work. At home worried there will be nothing left for you. The lesson: kindness shared grows. It doesn't shrink. Practice. Offer one small kindness tomorrow, a smile, a short note, a patient reply. Story 10. A group once argued about truth, each holding a different piece of understanding, like blind men touching an elephant. One felt the leg, another the ear, another the side. Each thought their part was the whole. The Buddha explained that each view was real but incomplete. When we argue without listening, we defend a single piece of a larger shape. People breathed softer, realizing they didn't need to fight to be right. Maybe at work or home, you've argued from your small corner. Sure, your view was the whole picture. The lesson: everyone holds a piece. Listening makes the picture clear. Practice in your next conflict. Pause once. Ask, what part am I not seeing? Story 11. One morning near Jetavana, the Buddha sat in the shade while merchants gathered around, worried about losing their wealth. They spoke of market swings, debt, the fear of failing their families. Their voices were tight, like ropes pulled too long. One merchant asked how to feel safe. The Buddha spoke of a tree with wide roots: virtue, steadiness, generosity, saying true security grows from how we live, not what we keep. His words were calm, like water over stone. Their shoulders dropped. They saw their fear wasn't about money alone, it was about being enough. Maybe you've stared at bills or bank screens late at night, feeling the pressure in your jaw, working hard, trying to give your family a better life. The lesson: real wealth is the ground you stand on, your values, not your numbers. Practice. Place a hand on your chest and say, I am more than my balance. Eyes. Breathe once. Slow and steady. Story 12. A monk asked the Buddha how to quiet the restless mind. He compared thoughts to a monkey jumping from branch to branch, never still. His eyes showed exhaustion from chasing quiet. The Buddha pointed to a bowl of clear water. If you stir it, you can't see. If you leave it, it settles. Undefined, the monk watched his own breath, noticing the pause after each exhale. His body softened. Maybe your thoughts run circles before bed, unfinished tasks, old mistakes, future worries. The mind stirs itself. The lesson: stillness comes when we stop shaking the water. Practice. For 1 minute. Watch the breath leave your nose. Do nothing else. Story 13. In the early evening, a farmer complained about a neighbor who spoke harshly to him. He replayed the words all week, like a bad song stuck in his mind. The Buddha listened, then asked, if someone sets a hot coal in your hand, do you hold it to punish them? The farmer laughed. He knew the answer. His anger cooled. He realized the pain came from holding the memory, not the moment. Maybe you've carried someone's rude comment for days, long after they forgot it. It lives in your mind, not in the air. The lesson: drop the coal. Only your hand burns when you hold it. Practice. Name one hurt you're gripping. Breathe out and imagine opening your hand. Story 14. A wealthy man asked the Buddha why his life, full of luxury, felt hollow. He owned everything but slept poorly, waking with a tight chest. The Buddha spoke of a man collecting shells on the beach, ignoring the sunrise. He gathers more and more, but misses the light on the water. The man understood he had chased comfort, not meaning. His breath slowed as he imagined watching the sunrise instead of counting more shells. Maybe you've worked hard, earned things you once dreamed of, yet feel something missing: time, presence, quiet joy. The lesson: more doesn't fill the heart, seeing clearly does. Practice. Tomorrow morning. Pause once, look out a window before scrolling a screen. Story 15. A monk feared speaking up. worried what others thought. He tried to be perfect, then froze when he wasn't. The Buddha reminded him that a lute sounds best with strings not too tight, not too loose. Effort should be steady, not strained. The monk exhaled, realizing he had pulled his own strings too tight. His shoulders eased. Maybe you push yourself to be flawless at work or at home, expecting more than anyone else does. The lesson: too much pressure breaks the music. Practice. Whisper. Good enough is enough tonight. You need to be other. Feel the space that opens. Story 16. A man came to the Buddha, angry with his father for past mistakes. He carried old memories like heavy stones. The Buddha said forgiveness is like dropping stones from a bag. Each one frees the body a little more. Not to forget, but to stop carrying. The man's eyes softened. His breath deepened for the first time in years. Maybe you hold on to old hurt, even while cooking dinner or driving to work. It weighs the present down. The lesson: letting go doesn't erase the past, it frees the present. Practice. Write a name on paper. Say, I'm not carrying you today. Then fold it gently. Story 17. A monk feared death. He asked the Buddha how to live without that shadow chasing him. The Buddha spoke of a traveler enjoying each step: birds, wind, clear water knowing the road ends, yet still walking with open eyes. Awareness makes life precious, not frightening. The monk felt lighter, like he had been holding his breath for years. Maybe you think about time passing, children growing, parents aging, your own life moving fast like a highway view. The lesson: knowing the end makes each moment shine brighter. Practice. Notice one small beauty tonight: a sound, a texture, a breath. Just one. Story 18. Two monks argued over a flag moving in the wind. One said the flag moved. The other said the wind moved. The Buddha said gently, "It is your mind that moves." As willed, they fell quiet, realizing the argument came from their own restless thoughts. Their faces eased. A small smile passed between them. Maybe you've argued over something small because the day was long. Your mind tired. Everything feeling personal. The lesson: often, the problem is the mind's motion, not the thing itself. Practice. In your next small disagreement, pause and breathe once before speaking. Story 19. A young man asked how to grow wisdom quickly. He wanted answers instantly, like checking messages on a phone. The Buddha pointed to a tree. It began as a seed, unseen in the soil, growing bit by bit, roots first, leaves later. No rushing. The young man relaxed, realizing slow growth is real growth. Maybe you've wished for instant clarity about relationships, career choices, the meaning of your days. The lesson: roots take time, and they matter more than branches. Practice. Choose one habit to grow gently this week. Just one small step. Story 20. A traveler doubted himself, switching plans every few days. One day he wanted one path, the next day another. He felt lost in his own uncertainty. The Buddha spoke of digging a well. If you stop after a few feet and move elsewhere, you never reach water. Stay long enough for depth. The traveler felt a calm resolve, like setting his bag down. Maybe you've started projects, jobs, or dreams, then abandoned them too soon because doubt got loud. The lesson: depth comes from staying, not jumping. Practice. Tonight. Name one thing you'll stick with for 7 days. Story 21. Early morning mist settled over the bamboo grove. A young monk knelt beside the Buddha, heavy with regret. He had spoken harshly to another monk the night before, and now his chest felt tight. He asked how to undo what was done. The Buddha picked up a bowl of water and stirred it with his finger. Ripples spread, then slowly faded back to stillness. What's done leaves a mark, the Buddha said through the gesture. But the mind can settle again with honest apology and care. He found indiscreet. The monk breathed deeper, shoulders easing. Maybe you've said something tired and sharp after a long day, then replayed it later, wishing you could take it back. The lesson, a sincere apology, is the stilling of water. Practice. Think of one person you owe a gentle word. Plan one simple sentence to make things right. Story 22. A man came to the Buddha, blaming everyone around him for his troubles, his boss, his partner, his neighbors. His jaw was tight, his voice quick. He wanted a world that matched his expectations. The Buddha pointed to a field of wildflowers growing without his command. They bloom and fade without approval. Peace comes when we stop forcing the world to behave like we want. The man exhaled, realizing his fight was with reality itself. Maybe you've felt that wishing co-workers, family, traffic, even weather would cooperate with your plans. The lesson: life isn't made calm by control, but by acceptance. Practice. Breathe out once and say, "Let it be what it is." 1. W. Story 23. A woman asked why her kindness wasn't always returned. She helped others at work, but some ignored her. It hurt. The Buddha told a story of planting seeds. Some fall on fertile soil, some on stone. We don't give only when we're sure it will return. Kindness is its own path. Her face softened. She realized she could care without counting. Maybe you've tried hard for others at home or on a team yet felt unseen. The lesson: give because it's true, not to be rewarded. Practice. Offer one kindness today without expecting anything back, just one. Story 24. A monk feared failure. He wanted a perfect record of meditation, a perfect life of discipline. Every mistake shattered him. The Buddha pointed to a child learning to walk, falling, rising, smiling. Growth isn't straight. It curves through tries and tumbles. The monk's breath steadied. He understood that the path allows missteps. Maybe you've pushed yourself so hard that one slip feels like everything is lost. The lesson: falling is part of learning to stand. Practice. Name one failure today and call it a step instead. Story 25. A man was grieving his father's death. He felt life had no meaning now, like the light had gone out of his home. The Buddha spoke of a lamp passed from parent to child, not the flame itself, but the warmth of care, the shape of values, the quiet lessons. What we love continues in the way we live. Tears came, not from despair, but from recognition. Maybe you've lost someone who shaped you. Moments echo in how you cook, drive, speak. The lesson: love changes form, but never ends. Practice. Remember one small habit you carry from someone gone and thank them quietly. Story 26. A merchant asked how to make decisions when outcomes are unclear. He feared choosing wrong, losing money, letting down his family. The Buddha spoke of crossing a river by stepping stones. You see only the next rock clearly, Not the full path, but each step makes the next visible. The merchant's fear softened into steady resolve. Maybe you've waited for perfect certainty before acting. Career shifts, relationships, personal choices. The lesson: clarity grows one step at a time. Practice: write one small step, not the whole plan, and commit to it. Story 27. A monk was jealous of another's praise. He worked hard, but the other received attention. His mind was restless, his nights long. The Buddha offered a parable of two lamps in a room, one bright, one dim. The bright lamp doesn't steal light from the other. Together they make the room warm. The monk's jealousy thinned like morning fog. Maybe you've watched someone succeed and wondered why it wasn't you, even when you worked just as hard. The lesson: someone else's light doesn't dim yours. Practice: compliment one person's strength, sincerely, without comparison. Story 28. A woman told the Buddha she carried shame like a shadow from old mistakes. She wanted a new life, but the past followed her. The Buddha showed her a clear pool. He dropped a leaf, then watched it float away without forcing it. The water remained pure. We don't become clean by fighting shame. We become free by letting it move on. Her breathing slowed, like she had set down a heavy bag. Maybe you replay past choices while sitting at work or brushing your teeth. Quiet, private echoes. The lesson: the past floats away when we stop chasing it. Practice: say, I was learning, instead of I failed. It's knotted. Feel the difference. Story 29. Two monks criticized another behind his back. They felt justified. He was clumsy, forgetful. It bonded them for a moment, then left them uneasy. The Buddha said gossip is like drinking salt water. It warms the mouth, but leaves the heart thirsty. Their faces flushed with understanding. Their laughter fell quiet, replaced by relief. Maybe you vented with co-workers or friends, then felt hollow afterward. The lesson: speaking kindly fills the heart. Gossip drains it slow. Practice: catch one moment of gossip today and choose silence instead. Story 30. A prince complained that peace never lasted. He would meditate, feel calm, then lose it in meetings, war councils, family tension. The Buddha spoke of tending a fire, adding wood gently, guarding from wind. Peace is not a moment. It's a practice of many small protections. The prince breathed deeply, seeing calm as a habit, not a lucky event. Maybe you felt peaceful on a weekend, then lost it on Monday morning. Traffic, deadlines, messages stacking up. The lesson: peace is built in pieces, not found once. Practice: choose one small guard. Tomorrow, slow breathing before calls, pausing before replies, one mindful bite at lunch. Story 31. The man who collected waves. A man lived by the western shore, where the sea spoke in endless rhythms. Each morning, he stood with a notebook, trying to write down the shapes of waves. He said he wanted to understand the ocean fully before he grew old. He traced every curl of salt water, every shimmer of light. One day, an elder sat beside him, silent as driftwood. They watched waves rise and fall without commentary. The man turned to the elder and said, "I'm almost done collecting these 9. "Yes," the elder smiled, eyes on the horizon. "You can write 1,000 waves," the elder whispered, "but they vanish the moment the water returns." The man stared at his thick notebook full of lines. Later, he closed the book and let the wind turn the pages. The waves rolled without needing to be captured. He began to watch them like the sky, open, unclaimed, and the ocean seemed larger when he stopped holding it. Some nights, he still brought the notebook empty pages, not to record waves, but to feel them arrive and leave. Story 32. The Sparrow and the Lantern. A temple in the valley carried one old lantern on a wooden post. Inside it, a tiny flame flickered like a heartbeat in winter. A sparrow came every evening, circling the glow. The monk, watching it, grew curious. Why does the sparrow love the light? He set seeds nearby, but the bird ignored them. One night, snow fell in quiet sheets. The sparrow sat close to the lantern, wings tucked. The monk understood warmth, not brightness. In the morning, he lit 2 lanterns, not to attract birds, but to soften the cold around him. The sparrow came again, resting between them. Sometimes, what we circle isn't the thing we think. Sometimes, we look for warmth disguised as light. The monk kept the lanterns glowing each winter night, and the sparrow taught him the shape of gentle needs. Story 33. The Pillow of Stones. A traveler kept a small bag of polished stones. He carried them from town to town, saying they protected him. At night, he slept with the bag under his head like a pillow. One evening, he stayed with a potter by a quiet river. She gave him a soft pillow, spun from cotton and care. He resisted, clutching the stones tightly. "You may sleep with your burden," she said warmly, "but softness can hold you without asking anything." He lay down, head between stone and cloud. In the middle of the night, his neck ached. He placed the stones aside, resting fully. Morning light showed his face relaxed and younger. The potter poured tea with a calm smile. He left the stones behind without speaking. The river sounded like a lullaby as he walked. Even strong beliefs can soften when comfort appears. Story 34. Moon on the Orchard Fence. A farmer had an orchard of old apple trees. Every year, he counted each apple before sleeping. He whispered numbers like prayers for certainty. One night, clouds covered the moon. He couldn't see well enough to count. Restlessness pressed on him like a weighted blanket. His daughter came outside, barefoot in dewy grass. "Come sit," she said, pointing to the orchard fence. The moon returned slowly, silver brushing branches. Together, they watched apples sway like lanterns. He forgot the numbers entirely. Only the glowing shapes remained, round and quiet. Later in bed, he slept without counting. The orchard kept growing while he dreamed. He woke feeling full, not from fruit, but from release. Some abundance is seen only when you stop measuring. Story 35. The Bamboo's Secret. A young monk admired the straight bamboo at the temple gate. How does it grow so tall without breaking? He wondered. He tried to imitate bamboo with perfect posture all day. One afternoon, wind rushed through the valley. The bamboo bent with it, graceful and unafraid. The monk strained his back, trying to stay upright. The abbot watched gently. "Strength is not in resisting wind," he said. "It is in knowing when to sway." That evening, the monk walked among bamboo shoots. They leaned, they rose, they listened to the wind. He realized they were never still, never rigid. After that, his posture softened. Each breath became a quiet bend and return. He felt taller when he stopped forcing height, and the wind became his teacher. Story 36. Tea before answers. A scholar came to a mountain temple with heavy questions. He demanded to see the master immediately. "I need answers," he said, "before I waste more time." Reasoned, the master invited him to sit for tea. "I don't have time for tea," the scholar replied. The master poured tea anyway. Steam curled like gentle script in the air. The scholar held the cup reluctantly. The warmth surprised him. It eased his hands. After a slow sip, the world felt less sharp. His questions softened around the edges. The master nodded at the quiet. "Answers can wait," the master said. "But tea only warms you right now." Today, the scholar breathed deeply, still holding the cup. Some wisdom arrives through hot water, not words. Story 37. The garden without plans. A woman inherited a small patch of soil behind her cabin. She planned to draw grids, lines, and perfect spacing. She dreamed of symmetry, rows shining in order. But when spring came early, seeds sprouted wild. Green shoots rose like scattered notes of music. She felt embarrassment, then curiosity. She stopped trying to correct the garden. Instead, she knelt and listened with her hands. She placed stones where paths felt natural. By summer, the garden looked like a soft painting, colors woven, shapes unmeasured. Visitors said it felt healing without knowing why. She laughed quietly to herself. A plan had never been planted there, only life, growing life. Without permission, she learned beauty sometimes blooms without a ruler. Story 38. The river's sleep. A fisherman lived near a wide river. At night, he lay awake, thinking of currents and depths. He feared the river never slept, always flowing. One evening, he sat by the water under a thin moon. The river looked still at the edges, soft as silk. He realized motion didn't mean wakefulness. Even rushing water can be at peace. It moved, but without effort. It flowed, but without tension. The fisherman returned home lighter. His thoughts still moved, but slower. He understood that quiet isn't always stillness. He fell asleep to the river's hush. Its endless flow became a lullaby, and for the first time in many seasons, he dreamed of gentle waves resting. Story 39. Ink on the rain barrel. A poet stored water in a wooden rain barrel. During storms, he listened to drops like drumbeats. He tried to write poems about each rhythm. One day, he dipped his brush into the barrel itself. Ink drifted across the surface like floating thoughts. The water blurred the characters instantly. He felt a sting of failure, his words erased. But the shapes spread into quiet beauty. Circles, smears, gentle shadows in motion. He realized the rain had finished his poem, not with perfect lines, but with movement. He sat watching the barrel like a mirror of mind. Some writing lives only for minutes. Some meaning dissolves to reveal something softer. He no longer tried to save each word. He let the rain carry the poem away. Story 40. The candle and the dust. A woman cleaned her home late into the night. Believing that order would calm her mind, she wiped surfaces, swept corners, polished wood. Still, her thoughts scattered like dust in sunlight. She lit a single candle on the table. Its flame flickered gently, revealing nothing perfect. She sat there without finishing the cleaning. The room was imperfect, but warm. Shadows swayed like slow dancers across her walls. Her breath synced with the candle's quiet pulse. She didn't try to clear everything at once, only enough space for light to settle. Before bed, she left the room as it was, softly undone, peacefully incomplete. Some nights, she cleaned less and lived more. The candle taught her that calm isn't spotless. Story 41. The Breath of the Old Gate. At the entrance to a forgotten temple stood a wooden gate. Travelers passed beneath it without looking, thinking it was only wood. But a young monk paused each morning, hand on the grain. He felt warmth from the boards, warmed by countless palms before his. "Why do you touch the gate?" another monk asked. "Because it breathes," he answered softly. When the wind moved through the valley, the gate creaked like low chords, not broken, not complaining, just speaking in its own language. The monk listened as if to an elder's story. One day, he stood there during heavy rain. The gate glistened like living bark, drinking the sky. He felt his own heartbeat slow to match the rhythm. The other monk watched him, puzzled and curious. The young monk smiled. "Even stillness has a pulse. You know." He stepped through the gate with ease in his shoulders. The wood held the memory of every quiet arrival. Story 42. The Bowl of Winter Light. A potter placed a wide clay bowl on her windowsill. Each winter morning, it filled with pale sunlight. She said it was her bowl of light, though it held nothing. Her neighbor laughed kindly. "It's just empty space." "Don't," she nodded, enjoying the warmth on the rim. "Empty space is enough," she whispered. One evening, the sky turned deep blue. The bowl reflected moonlight like a silvery pond. The potter sat beside it in silence. People asked why she never stored berries or grain in it. She said the bowl already fed her in another way. It taught her the taste of a quiet moment. When spring arrived, she packed the bowl away, not because the light was gone, but because she carried it inside. She no longer needed a place to collect brightness. The bowl had shown her where light truly lives. Story 43. The Path of Four Footprints. A mountain trail wound through tall pines. Each day, a monk and a stray dog walked it together. Their footprints mixed on soft earth, two sets, side by side. The monk never claimed the dog, nor did the dog beg. They simply walked. The forest welcomed both equally. One morning, snow covered the trail. The monk saw only one set of prints ahead. He wondered where the dog had gone. At a bend, he found the dog waiting, tail low and soft. The tracks showed the dog had circled back. It walked behind, guarding the monk without being asked. The monk touched its head, grateful beyond words. Together they continued, now leaving 4 footprints again. Nothing was owned, nothing promised, only the quiet loyalty of shared steps. Story 44. The Cloud Under the Bridge. A child saw a cloud reflected beneath a wooden bridge. "Look," she said. "The sky is hiding in the river." The old bridge keeper smiled with missing teeth. He leaned over the railing, eyes soft. "The river holds everything the sky gives," he whispered, "even what passes too quickly to see." The child watched ripples erase the cloud, line by line. Then another cloud appeared, drifting in silver ripples. She gasped with delight. That evening, she returned alone. Standing on the bridge, she looked into the water for the sky. It was always changing, always returning. Many years later, she still visited the bridge, not to find clouds exactly, but to remember how they come and go. Some reflections teach us about passing beauty. Some bridges show us how to look twice. Story 45, The Trader's Quiet Night. A trader crossed deserts with silk, spices, and stories. At night, he counted his coins under a dim lantern. He believed numbers were the only safety he had. One evening, wind scattered his pouch. Coins rolled into sand, disappearing into darkness. His breath tightened with the loss. A shepherd nearby offered him bread without question. They ate together, sharing silence more than food. The trader felt warmth without wealth. At dawn, he found only a few coins, but something in him felt strangely full. He understood that value shifts like dunes in the wind. He continued his journey lighter, not careless, but less tied to what glitters. Sometimes, a night of loss reveals a deeper wealth. He carried that instead of counting. Story 46, The Bell with a Crack. In a modest shrine hung a bronze bell with a long crack. Visitors said it sounded broken, imperfect, but a village boy loved its voice. Every morning, he rang the bell gently. Its tone wavered like a song with emotion. To him, it sounded alive. One day, the monks debated replacing it. The boy held the rope protectively. "Please," he said, "let it sing as it is." When Kamini Privex, Tenekline under videos, they listened again, this time with patient ears. The bell's voice carried warmth through its floor, a softness only time could make. They kept it, not out of pity, but respect. The crack became its signature, not its error. Some sounds open the heart because they're imperfect. The bell rang for decades more, beautifully uneven. Story 47, The Stones That Walked Home. A mason removed stones from an old path. He wanted straight lines and new patterns. He stacked the stones at the edge of the road. Next morning, some stones lay closer to their original place. He assumed children played tricks and moved them. He returned them to the pile. Days passed. The stones kept shifting, always back toward the winding path. He began to laugh each morning, amused and curious. Eventually he placed them back where they once were. The path curved softly through grasses again. People walked it like memory itself. Not everything improves by correction. Some shapes carry stories older than plans. The mason learned to see history in curves. The stones had walked home without feet. Story 48, The Lute with No Song. A musician owned a lute he never played. He polished it daily, tuning strings no one heard. Visitors begged for music, but he refused. One winter night, the town gathered by the hearth. The musician held the lute like a fragile child. He explained he feared ruining its perfect silence. A woman approached, hands gentle on the wood. "Music is born from risk," she whispered. "Silence is safe, but empty." He sat, closed his eyes, and played the first note. It trembled like a newborn cry, both pure and raw. People listened, breath held, hearts open. The lute found its song at last. Not perfect, but human. After that night, silence became his teacher, not his prison. Story 49, The Snow on the Thatch Roof. A farmer woke to heavy snow on his thatch roof. He worried it would collapse under the weight. He tried to brush it off with a long broom, but snow kept falling. Soft as whispered apologies, his wife brewed tea and sat by the window. "Come watch," she said with a tired smile. Together they observed the roof bend just slightly. Not breaking, just learning a winter posture. The snow covered everything in gentle silence. He breathed, tension slowly melting. In time, the sun lifted the white blanket. The roof straightened as if waking from a dream. The farmer understood something then. Not every burden must be lifted right away. Some melt by morning without our struggle. He sipped tea, grateful for the thaw. Story 50. The Paper Boat on the Lake. A child folded a paper boat from a school notebook page. She wrote a wish inside. Hidden in the crease, she sent it onto the lake, watching it drift. An elder fishing nearby saw her quiet ceremony. "What do you wish for?" he asked warmly. "It won't come true if I say it," she whispered. They watched the boat reach a patch of lily pads. It slowed, tipping slightly under dew. She worried the wish would sink. The elder shook his head gently. "Wishes don't live in boats," he said. "They live in the hands that fold them." "You," the child smiled. Unsure but comforted. The boat eventually sank without ceremony. She held her hands, feeling the truth. Some magic happens before we ever let go. Story 51. The Lantern Beside the Road. An old monk carried a small lantern on the road at dusk. Its flame was weak, barely touching the stones beneath him. Travelers passed with brighter lights, hurrying toward town. One paused and asked, "Why walk so slowly?" "Elder," the monk smiled, looking at the soft glow. "This light is only for the step I'm taking now." "I know," the traveler frowned, thinking of distant plans and deadlines. He wanted a light that showed miles ahead. The monk continued, steady as breathing. A wind brushed the flame, bending it like a reed. Still, it held on, not showing tomorrow, just supporting the footfall. The traveler walked beside him for a while. Their pace became gentle, equal. In darkness, a small light can feel like rest. The step you're in can be enough. Story 52. The Brushstroke No One Saw. A painter lived near the edge of the forest. She painted each morning at sunrise, alone in a quiet room. No gallery knew her name. No crowd asked to see. Her neighbor wondered why she kept painting. "Who will see these colors?" he asked kindly. She smiled without stopping her brush. "Someone will," she said, "even if it's only me." In two, her strokes were slow, like breathing on canvas. The forest outside received her silence. One day, rain washed through the town market. A child found one of her small paintings left on a stall. The colors made the child laugh with surprise. He carried it home like a treasure. The painter never knew, but her colors touched someone anyway. Some beauty is its own audience. Story 53. The Pot with Two Handles. A potter shaped a clay pot with two handles. People asked why one side would have been easier. She said both sides tell a different story. One handle was smooth, round like a gentle river stone. The other had marks and small dents. Not broken, just lived in. She explained that life has two handles. One is ease, things that go our way. The other is effort, moments rough as old bark. A young student tried to lift the pot with only the smooth handle. It tilted, nearly slipping from his hands. He used both. Finding balance, he looked at the dents again. Differently now. Some grip comes from imperfection. The pot held water, perfectly whole. Its two sides made one container. Story 54, The Wind and the Ink. A poet wrote on rice paper near an open window. Wind entered like a playful guest, lifting the pages. His ink made small waves where the breeze touched it. He tried to hold everything still, feeling his throat tighten. Words blurred. Strokes lost their shape. He sighed with quiet regret. Then he stopped resisting the wind. He let the ink follow the movement. Lines curved like drifting birds. Later, someone read his poem and cried. It felt alive, uncontrolled, honest. The poet realized the wind had written too. He saved that page above his desk. A reminder that control isn't always creation. Some lines need a little chaos. The wind became his unseen partner. Story 55, The Harvest Without Measuring. A farmer harvested wheat without weighing each bundle. He tied them with twine and stacked them in the barn. His neighbor measured everything, counting bushels and kernels. You might lose profit, the neighbor warned. The farmer nodded, brushing grain from his sleeves. I might gain peace, he answered. During winter, storms shook the valley. The neighbor's accounts gave him little sleep. Numbers turned in his head like restless wheels. The farmer read by lamplight, listening to the quiet. He trusted his fields, his seasons, his hands. When spring arrived, both men planted again. Only one felt tired from counting, the other from working. Both grew wheat, only one kept his ease. Not everything needs a scale. Story 56, The Small Stone in the Pocket. A monk carried a smooth stone in his pocket. He found it by the river simple, grey, unremarkable, but it felt cool and grounding in his palm. When troubled thoughts came, he touched the stone, not to escape his mind, but to feel something real. The stone did nothing, but it helped everything. A novice asked why he didn't recite a chant instead. The monk smiled, pressing the stone into his hand. Chants reach the mind, he said. This reaches the body. In 5, encrasted, the novice held it all day. His breath deepened without effort. Thoughts felt lighter, like clouds passing. He returned the stone at night, grateful. The monk kept walking with empty pockets. Sometimes the lesson stays after the stone is gone. What matters is what you carry inside. Story 57, The Tea That Wasn't Served. A woman prepared tea for a respected guest. The kettle sang, steam curling in the air. She set 2 cups on the table. Waiting, the guest never arrived. She waited long past sunset, listening to footsteps that never came. Her heart felt heavy, like a room without warmth. Finally, she poured herself 1 cup. The tea tasted calm, like distant rain. She felt the evening soften. Next morning, the guest apologized. He bowed deeply, embarrassed by his absence. She welcomed him with another pot of tea. He expected frustration, maybe scolding. Instead, he found kindness already brewed. She had practiced patience the night before. Waiting became her tea. Story 58, The Bridge That Leaned. A small wooden bridge leaned slightly to one side. Travelers joked about its crooked shape. Children tiptoed across it, pretending to fall. One year, builders planned to straighten it. An old woman protested gently. This bridge holds our footsteps, she said. It remembers us as we are. Not perfect. You End quote. The builders paused, curious about her meaning. She explained that every tilt came from years of use, worn by laughter, carts, and tired feet. They kept the lean, reinforcing the wood underneath. The bridge stayed crooked, but safe. People walked it with affection. The old woman crossed daily, hand on the railing. She loved its familiar slant. Some paths comfort us because they aren't straight. They bend with our story. Story 59, The Sparrow and the Seed. A child dropped a single seed near the window. By morning, a sparrow pecked at the ground, cheerful and quick. The child squealed with delight. Every day, she left one seed, never a handful, never a pile, just one. The sparrow returned, trusting the pattern. Her father watched, smiling after long workdays. He understood how small kindness works, not grand or loud, but steady. One winter morning, snow covered the yard. The child brushed a tiny patch clean. Placing a seed, the sparrow came, hopping toward warmth. Her father lifted her gently. In life, he whispered, one seed matters. One. The child nodded, proud and glowing. Sometimes the world changes by a single gesture. Story 60. The Candle at the Window. A candle sat at a window of an old inn. Travelers saw its glow and felt invited. Not a sign, not a word, just warmth. The innkeeper replaced it every night. He didn't need decorations or bright lanterns. A single flame was enough to say welcome. One night, a storm cut through the valley. A soaked traveler arrived, trembling from cold. He stared at the candle, almost crying. Inside, the innkeeper offered dry clothes and soup. No questions, no judgment, only care. The traveler warmed slowly, like wax near flame. Years later, he passed that window again. Another candle shone, steady as memory. He whispered thanks into the dark. One light can guide many home. Story 61. The Quiet Step in the Garden. A gardener walked her path each morning before dawn. She didn't carry tools, only her breath and a soft pace. Dew sparkled like tiny lanterns in the grass. Neighbors hurried past the fence toward the day's demands. She paused to touch one leaf on the nearest plant. It trembled lightly, like it recognized her. A friend asked why she visited before the sun rose. There's no work happening, he teased kindly. She smiled, feeling her ribcage rise and fall. This is the work, she whispered. She listened for birds waking, letting silence open. The future could wait until daylight. Her steps slowed, calm enough to notice each scent. When the sun finally crested the houses, she stood still. Morning felt long and generous, not rushed. Sometimes planting ease comes before planting seeds. Story 62. The River's Small Answer. A traveler sat beside a river after a long journey. His bags were heavy with plans and unfinished ideas. Water slid over stones like a steady conversation. He asked the river why his mind never rested. Of course, the river didn't speak like people do, but its rhythm offered something simple. Each wave passed without regret. Each ripple formed and faded without clinging. He saw his thoughts mirrored in the water's flow. He laughed at himself, shoulders dropping. No grand answer, just movement. The river taught by refusing to hold anything. He dipped his hands in the current, feeling cool release. Later, He walked on with fewer expectations. Not everything is solved, some things are softened. Clarity sometimes comes as a small answer. Story 63. The Carpenter's Wooden Spoon. A carpenter carved a spoon from fallen wood. Not the finest timber, just a branch by the roadside. He shaped it slowly, sanding with patient hands. His apprentice asked why he didn't choose perfect material. The carpenter turned the spoon in sunlight. Perfection is a narrow doorway, he said. The grain curved, strangely, beautiful in its bends. He carved around the knots, not through them. The spoon grew into its own quiet shape. At dinner, they used it to serve warm rice. The apprentice felt its balance and weight. Not flawless, comfortable. Later, he picked up scraps others ignored. He worked slowly, listening to the wood. His pieces felt honest, simple, kind. Sometimes usefulness grows out of what we overlook. Story 64. The Star Above the Field. A farmer worked late into the evening, chasing daylight. Clouds dimmed the sky, and his tools felt heavy. He carried worry like a second sack on his shoulder. He looked up to rest his neck. One star glimmered through shifting clouds, small, but clear enough to catch his breath. It reminded him that the world continued beyond fields, beyond yields, prices, and uncertain seasons. Something steady shone even in thin light. He set his tools down earlier than planned, walked home by the faint glow overhead. His steps slowed, easier than before. At the door, his children laughed inside. He realized the star hadn't fed him, family had. Pressure falls differently when seen from a wider view. Even a single star can open a small sky. Story 65. The Invitation in the Rain. A woman hurried through rain with her coat over her head. Water pooled on the street like silver sheets. Her shoes splashed. Rhythm, frantic and sharp. Then she saw a child dancing barefoot in a puddle. No fear of cold. No hurry, just play. Rain became invitation, not inconvenience. The woman paused under an awning, watching. Her breath steadied despite the storm. She remembered being that light once. She walked slower after that, coat hanging open. Drops cooled her face, teasing a smile forward. Her heart felt younger without trying. She reached home soaked, but calm. Rain still came down, but lost its urgency. Sometimes joy is a brief reminder we forgot to feel. A storm can teach more than shelter. Story 66. The Old Watchmaker's Time. A watchmaker repaired clocks in a tiny shop. Pendulums swayed like slow breaths around him. People brought broken time to his door. One man rushed in, anxious about deadlines. His watch had stopped that morning. Throwing off his plans, he demanded quick work. Tapping his foot, the watchmaker smiled. Opening the case gently, he moved with deliberate care, like tending a frail bird. Minutes passed without apologies. Time isn't only what your watch tells, he murmured. It's what your body feels when you wait. The man sighed, tension draining without permission. When the watch ticked again, the sound was soft. The man left slower than he arrived. Not every schedule needs urgency. Sometimes waiting repairs more than gears. Story 67. The Quiet Wind in the Orchard. An orchard held rows of apples in autumn light. A farmer walked between trees, counting ripeness. Leaves rustled, wind weaving through branches. A young helper followed, asking how to know when fruit is ready. The farmer picked one apple gently, turning it in his palm. "When it lets go," he said, "not when forced. Not before it's time." The helper tugged fruit that held tight. It resisted, green and firm. He waited a few days, returning with curiosity. The apple slipped free at a touch. Sweetness had taken its own path. He tasted it, surprised by the depth. Patience felt like flavor on his tongue. Growth can't be rushed by desire. Some ripening is an unseen work. Story 68. The paper lanterns glow. A festival filled the town with lanterns. People laughed, drums beating like heart rhythms. A child held a paper lantern shaped like the moon. Wind threatened the flame inside. Flickering wildly, she shielded it with cupped hands. The light steadied against her small effort. Her grandfather walked beside her, slow and peaceful. He admired the way she protected fragile brightness. "Even a tiny light deserves care," he said. They reached the river, lanterns reflecting like stars. She set hers on the water with a whisper. It drifted away, glow floating into darkness. Her hands felt empty, but her face shone. She learned that letting go can be luminous. Light doesn't end, it travels differently. The river carried her hope onward. Story 69. The bench with names. A public bench sat beneath a wide oak tree. Carved initials marked the wood. Some fresh, some faded. People came and went, leaving small evidence of presence. An elderly man visited daily with a thermos of tea. He traced the names with gentle fingers, not judging, just remembering the idea of them. A teenager once asked why he sat there instead of home. The man looked at the tree canopy overhead. "This bench holds stories," he said. They watched leaves sway in afternoon light. Each name felt like a quiet whisper. Shared space made strangers connected. The teenager returned often after that, not to carve his name, just to sit. He understood that belonging sometimes lives in silence. The bench became a meeting place for invisible friendships. Story 70. The clay cup's warmth. A potter shaped a small clay cup by hand. It wasn't symmetrical, one side curved slightly inward, but it fit the palm like it had always known it. At a gathering, cups were compared for beauty, some flawless, some thin as eggshell. People admired perfection like a mirror. The potter poured tea into her uneven cup. Steam rose gently, touching her cheek. Warmth flowed through clay and fingers. Someone asked why she kept the imperfect one. She smiled, holding it close. "It feels human," she said softly. Others tried it, surprised by the comfort. The cup held warmth like a heartbeat. Not everything beautiful needs straight lines. Some shapes teach us how to hold gently. Story 71. In the shade of a banyan tree, the Buddha sat quietly while villagers gathered near. A young craftsman stepped forward, his face tight from long days, shaping wood for demanding buyers. He spoke of his exhaustion, deadlines, and the feeling that nothing he made was ever enough. His mind kept working even in the night, carving shapes in his dreams. The Buddha listened without interruption. Then he pointed to the craftsman's hands, strong and worn. He spoke of how a bow, when pulled too tight for too long, loses its strength. Even a skilled hand must rest to stay steady. The craftsman's breath softened, like a knot loosening. He realized he had treated his own mind as a tool, not a living part of himself. You might notice this too, how work follows you home, into the dark, Maybe you've felt your mind shaping tasks long after the day ends. When you give yourself one relaxed moment, everything becomes cleaner, simpler. Tonight, try this. Place one hand on your chest, breathe slower, and whisper inwardly, "Not now. Rest." I know. Let your breath be the craft. Let silence be the wood. Do it, contentually, with tekios, got for you knows. Action. Story 72. In the quiet grove near Jetavana, a merchant arrived with traveling dust on his robe. He had earned much, yet feared losing it every day. His mind circled numbers and possibilities, chasing comfort he never reached. He bowed and asked the Buddha how to live without the constant shadow of money, fear. The Buddha picked up a single leaf. He asked which weighed more, the leaf in his hand, or the mountains of gold imagined in the mind. The merchant blinked, understanding slowly. Fear grows larger than reality. Holding what we own too tightly makes it fragile. You might feel similar, saving, planning, yet waking at night, worried about the future. Notice how fear adds weight to things that are actually light. Distilled, what you guard fiercely guards you in return. By trapping your mind, tonight, write one line on paper. I have enough for this moment. Avastabik. Then sit with the feeling, even if small. Let a single leaf outweigh your worries. To 9, Aurelius, with coming spareline, with coming liveline, with coming liveline, and welline. Story 73. By the riverside, monks washed their robes in calm silence. A young monk approached the Buddha, carrying resentment toward another monk who criticized his chanting. The anger felt sharp, buzzing like an insect that never leaves. The Buddha guided him to scoop a handful of river water. He asked, "Is the river harmed by one hand stirring it?" The young monk shook his head. Your mind can be wide like the river, or small, like the cup that spills with one touch. Criticism enters differently depending on the space inside. The monk breathed deeply, tension melting. Anger dissolved into something softer, almost embarrassment at its size. Maybe you know the sting of being judged at work or at home. Perhaps one comment echoes louder than all your efforts. Remember, widen the mind, and small waves fade. Practice. Breathe in for 4 counts. Breathe out for 6. Imagining the river widening each breath. Let the insect fly away on its own. Musing rivri, in whence to be againsa, in the visitation, in rivri be againsa. Story 74. A mother came to the Buddha after a long season of caring for her children. She felt invisible, as if her needs were folded beneath everyone else's. She loved deeply, yet carried quiet emptiness. The Buddha offered her a cup of cool water. "Drink for yourself first," he said gently. Not a command, an invitation. He spoke of how a lamp must be lit to give light. Care without care for oneself dims slowly. Tears came to her eyes, not from sadness, but relief. She understood that giving can include herself. You might feel that your value lies in serving everyone else. Maybe your name is rarely spoken except when needed. The distilled lesson: nurturing yourself is not selfish, it is sustainable compassion. Practice tonight. Place both hands over your heart and say, "I also matter in this home." Unintentionally, let that sentence rest like warmth in the chest. Yends, because in BK years, Yend a life did. Story 75. On a dusty road, a traveler complained about everyone he met: too slow, too rude, too greedy. He told the Buddha the world was filled with flawed people blocking his happiness. The Buddha asked him to carry a bowl full to the rim with oil and walk around the monastery. He must not spill a drop. When he returned, the Buddha asked what he had noticed. Nothing but the bowl. The traveler said, "When focused on what matters, complaints vanish." The Buddha replied. The traveler's irritation thinned into insight. He realized he spent more energy judging than living. You might notice this too, how the mind hunts for flaws, especially when tired. The world shrinks to annoyances. Distilled, attention shapes experience. Practice for 1 minute. Notice your breath instead of what's wrong around you. Let the bowl of oil be your inhale. Well done. Story 76. A farmer came to the Buddha worried about his crops. Rain was too little. Pests too many. His mind was tangled in everything he couldn't control. The Buddha listened, then told him, every person has 83 problems, and the last one is believing life should have none. The farmer laughed despite his worry. He felt the absurdity of trying to fix the sky. Something opened in him, freedom in accepting imperfection. You might feel this when deadlines change, plans fail, or people don't behave as hoped. Control becomes a cage. Distilled. Peace doesn't come from solving everything. It comes from releasing the final problem. Practice tonight. Whisper inwardly. Some things can be unfinished, and let the breath soften around that truth. Story 77. In a quiet hall, a monk was ashamed of his jealousy toward another monk, admired for his wisdom. He confessed to the Buddha, heavy with self-judgment. The Buddha compared jealousy to staring at another lamp while forgetting your own flame. Light isn't diminished by more light. The monk exhaled slowly. Jealousy turned into curiosity, how to grow his own qualities instead of resenting another's. Maybe you felt that pinch when a coworker is praised, or a friend succeeds before you do. The heart tightens, even against your intentions. Distilled. Someone else's glow can show you where to polish your own life. Practice. Name one strength you have, even small. Say it gently before sleep. And of these, and commendable this not. Story 78. A man came filled with regret over harsh words he spoke to his brother. The memory looped in his mind, louder than any apology he offered. The Buddha showed him a clear pool, asking him to toss a stone. Ripples spread, then stilled. The water returns to clarity. He said, regret is natural, but clinging keeps the ripples alive. The man's breath slowed, shame lifting like morning mist. You might know replaying a moment you wish you could undo. It steals rest from the night. Distilled. Acknowledge the ripple, then let the water settle. Practice. Breathe out the memory once, then release it from the breath. Let clarity return without forcing it. Wind a friend, one by name, wand a friend, one by name, wind a friend, one by name, wind a friend, one by name, 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 one by name. Story 79. A young man asked the Buddha how to handle overthinking. His mind leapt from idea to idea, never landing. He felt restless even in quiet places. The Buddha handed him a flower and asked him to describe it completely. After several attempts, the young man laughed. Words could never hold it fully. The mind calms when it truly sees, not when it tries to capture. Something settled in him, like petals opening. Maybe you felt your mind racing through possibilities at night. Thoughts stack until sleep retreats. Distilled. Attention softens thinking. Practice. Look at one simple object before bed, your hand. A pillow fold, and just see it. Let seeing replace thinking. And V by breeze. And V by breeze. Story 80. At dusk, an elder approached the Buddha with fear of growing old. She felt her body changing, her energy fading. She worried she was becoming less herself. Eat. The Buddha touched the trunk of an ancient tree. This tree is the same. Through rings of change, he said, form shifts, essence remains. The woman breathed with a kind of comfort she had forgotten. Her identity was not her youth, but her awareness. You might feel time moving faster now. Seasons blurring into years. A quiet grief can rise with birthdays. Distilled, aging is the shape the river takes. Not the loss of the water. Practice. Place your hand on your belly and breathe slowly, sensing the life that remains steady beneath every change. Let the river flow without fear. Story 81. In the soft light of early morning, the Buddha sat among the quiet bamboo. A village teacher arrived, worn by the faces of demanding parents and restless children. She feared she was failing everyone. Too many needs, too little of herself. The Buddha listened calmly. He plucked one bamboo leaf and held it up. A leaf bends without breaking, he said. Teaching is not lifting the forest. It is bending with the wind. If you rest of Minda, her shoulders eased, the tightness in her throat loosening. She understood she had tried to stand rigid, carrying every expectation alone. Maybe you felt that weight being the one others rely on. At work or at home, you try to be strong until strength turns into strain. Distilled, flexibility is wiser than force. Practice tonight. Breathe gently and say to yourself, I can bend a little. End quote. Let your chest soften with each exhale. Not all the forest needs your shoulders at once. Its effectivations of these raid. Story 82. A hunter came to the Buddha with guilt. He had spoken harshly to his son in anger, leaving both their hearts bruised. The words echoed louder than the moment itself. The Buddha drew a line in the sand with his finger. This is the past, he said. Then he wiped it away with his palm. And this is now. It's margin. The hunter's breath steadied. He felt forgiveness arrive slowly, like dawn light. Not a sudden flash. You might know this feeling, regret from a moment that passed quickly but lingers long. The mind can carve grooves deeper than reality. Distilled, repair begins in the present, not the memory. Practice. Before sleep, whisper one gentle wish for the person you hurt. Let that wish travel farther than the mistake. In Lego, and close of this fees. Story 83. In a grove of flowering trees, a wealthy landowner approached the Buddha. Despite his riches, he felt hollow, chasing purchase after purchase. He believed the next gain would finally bring peace. The Buddha pointed at the blossoms. They open without chasing spring. He said, peace grows from being day, not acquiring. Waig. The landowner's eyes softened, seeing the simple truth of petals opening unseen. Maybe you filled your days with tasks, achievements, possessions, hoping for that final feeling of enough. If you could light, but enough arrives from inside, not outside. Distilled, peace is presence, not prize. Practice. Breathe deeply and name one thing you already have that matters. Let that be tonight's treasure. By and lay thousand by. O free life, O free life, O free life. By and layfen, by and layfen, by and layfen. O free life, by and layfen, dong to, and free life, by and layfen, and free life, and free life, and free life. Story 84. A traveling monk felt ashamed for losing patience during long debates. He told the Buddha his mind tightened every time he tried to prove he was right. The Buddha smiled gently. He poured water into 2 cups, one over full, one half empty. When the cup is full of rightness, nothing more can enter. Ears. The monk lowered his gaze, seeing that his hunger to win closed the door to understanding. You may feel this in arguments at work. At home, when the urge to be correct silences the heart. Being right can cost connection. Distilled. Loosen the grip on certainty, and truth can breathe. Practice. Tonight. Recall one conversation and imagine listening twice as much as speaking. Let space be your wisdom. And this signed, one data, and approvariness. Story 85. A woman grieving her mother came to the Buddha, numb from loss. She feared the pain would last forever, like a shadow pinned to her life. The Buddha showed her a lantern. Light danced, even as the flame moved. Grief changes, as love remains. Is never. Her eyes filled not from new pain, but from recognizing that love continues in a different shape. You might know this losing a parent, a partner, a friend. Nights feel longer than days. Distilled. Love is the thread that does not burn. Practice. Place your hand over your heart and breathe slowly, remembering one gentle thing about the one you miss. Let warmth rise where sorrow once froze. And then the respondents present in 1990 and of Bedtime and of Kunch the Marx's the Sada. Story 86. A potter confessed to the Buddha that he compared himself constantly to masters of his craft. Every flaw in his work felt like proof he was less worthy. The Buddha lifted a cracked pot nearby. It carries water, he said. Function before perfection. Etans. The potter exhaled, the tension in his brow easing. He realized his work already carried life, even with imperfections. Maybe you felt this holding yourself against impossible standards at work, at home, in your own mind. The chase for perfect steals the joy of doing. Distilled. Usefulness lives where perfection cannot. Practice. Think of one thing you did today that helped someone, even small. Let that be your measure tonight. Mike see you wise, and crossed, Dumbledore tones. Story 87. A young father told the Buddha he worried constantly about his children's future. He planned years ahead, yet felt unable to enjoy the days passing now. The Buddha pointed to a field where seedlings sprouted. Seeds need tending today, he said. The harvest comes without worrying it into being. The father's breath deepened. He realized his mind leaped beyond the present, leaving joy behind. You might know this, working hard for tomorrow while missing the sweetness of tonight. The future grows from moments, not fear. Distilled. Care is today's act, not tomorrow's control. Practice. As you lie in bed, name one good moment from your day. Hold it like a seed in your palm. Then, Alpha, I'm honest of the manic. Story 88. A monk felt frustrated with his slow progress in meditation. He wanted calm the way others seemed to have it quickly, clearly. The Buddha told him about a lake. When stirred, it clouds. When left alone, it clears. In loaning, progress is not pushing the water still. It is stopping the stirring. The monk sighed with relief, realizing rest was part of the path, not a delay. You might chase results at work, in healing, in personal growth, hoping speed will save you. But some clarity only comes from quiet. Distilled, stillness is the work. Practice. Take 3 slow breaths without trying to change anything. Let the lake clear on its own. Thank you for watching. A last evenicsence. To get ways Ims 18 endime. Then you find as a prize. Be as supposed to. Story 89. A warrior visited the Buddha. Troubled by his temper. Battle had taught him force, and he carried that energy into every disagreement. The Buddha held out an empty hand. Strike this, he said. The warrior hesitated. There was nothing to fight. Anger fades when there is nothing to push against. End quote. The warrior saw that his reactions fed themselves. Maybe you felt that arguing even when you don't need to. Pushing points that hurt you. The fight can be with your own mind. Distilled. Choose emptiness over impact. Practice. When irritation rises, pause 1 breath before responding. Let the empty hand guide you. Eva. And this. And a Davinov fall. And this. Story 90. A singer came to the Buddha afraid her voice was fading with age. Her identity seemed tied to a talent she could no longer guarantee. The Buddha asked her to listen. Birdsong. Wind through leaves. Footsteps on dust. Life is a choir. He said. One voice changing doesn't silence the song. Oaf. Her heartbeat softened. She wasn't losing music, she was joining a larger harmony. You might know this when a career changes. A strength shifts. A dream evolves. It can feel like losing yourself. Distilled. Identity grows beyond a single note. Practice. Before sleep. Listen to one quiet sound in your room. Let yourself belong to more than your abilities. I hard and gazand ASAM if you'd like. I'll continue with stories. 91, 100. Story 91. A merchant came to the Buddha after a long journey. He carried bags of spices and silk, but his face held exhaustion deeper than miles. He confessed that even success felt heavy. Too many deals. Too much fear of loss. The Buddha pointed to the river nearby. Do you hear it strain to carry its water? The merchant watched the current glide around stones. He understood that flow is not forced. It follows its path. His life had become pushing a river uphill. Maybe you felt that working hard and still feeling behind. Afraid everything could slip away. When effort turns into fear, even gains feel fragile. Distilled. Flow isn't in the weight you carry, but in how you move. Practice. Breathe slowly and imagine your day as a river water passing, not held. Let each exhale loosen the grip of mine. Well, be nating, by want to bend, by welser, in not be nate, event living icy. Story 92. A farmer told the Buddha his mind raced at night. He replayed every decision. Planting too early. Selling too late. Storms that might come. The dark hours stretched like a road without end. The Buddha lit a small lamp. Night shows only what is here. He said, morning reveals the field. Is wise. The farmer realized worry was planting seeds in the dark, hoping to see roots grow instantly. Maybe you've known this lying awake, forecasting futures no one can see. The mind tries to farm tomorrow before dawn. Distilled, daylight comes without your thinking it forward. Practice. Place your hand on your belly and breathe. Feel the rise and fall. That rhythm is the only field open tonight. Missinai. Know this is und. Kassendand. Know this is und. Know this is undone. Know this is undone. Know this is undone. Story 93. A young woman told the Buddha she could not forgive herself. She carried an old mistake, like a stone in her chest. Every success felt undeserved. Every joy felt borrowed. The Buddha picked up a fallen leaf and let it float away on the pond. The tree does not chase it, he said. What's gone feeds the roots, unseen. She understood that the past can nourish growth, even if it was once pain. You may know this blaming yourself long after the lesson was learned. The stone becomes part of your posture. Distilled, let the leaf feed the soil, not burden the branch. Practice. Write one quiet sentence. I grew since then. Interest and read it once. Then breathe deeply. It's Nida Day says, Story 94. A monk worried that his kindness was too small. He tended the sick, swept the hall, offered smiles, but none of it felt like big compassion. The Buddha held out a bowl of rice, one grain at a time. He said, a meal is many small moments. Regit and quost. The monk saw each gesture like a grain, tiny alone, complete together. Maybe you've felt your care is too small to matter, helping a coworker, comforting a child, being patient in traffic, but a whole life is made from tiny mercies. Distilled, small kindness is big when repeated. Practice. Before sleep, recall one simple kindness you offered today. Let it fill the bowl in your heart. Enden doze, and a scream tanster, and a scream. Story 95. A traveler asked the Buddha how to stop comparing himself. He saw others succeed faster, speak smarter, earn more. Each comparison cut into his confidence. The Buddha pointed to trees of different heights. No tree asks another why it grows differently. He said, they all reach for the same sky. Afterred, Drenzavest, the traveler breathed easier, realizing comparison was the wound, not the truth. You may feel this too, scrolling through lives that look brighter, wondering if you're late to your own path. But growth is not a race. Distilled, reach upward, not sideways. Practice. Name one strength you've grown slowly. Patience, skill, resilience. Let it rise like a tree in your breath. To 8. Indescended, 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 indescended. Story 96. A soldier came to the Buddha with a trembling hand. He had seen too much conflict and couldn't find peace in silence. Every quiet moment replayed echoes of noise. The Buddha placed a stone in his hand. Its weight stopped the shaking. Hold what is real, he said. The soldier focused on the stone, solid, cool, present. His breath aligned with the stillness. You might know this when the mind replays loud moments long after life has gone quiet. The body remembers until it's grounded. Distilled. The present holds you when the past is loud. Practice. Place your palm on your chest and breathe slowly. Feel your heartbeat as your anchor. And well-being experience it, and write it in the do, and well-being experience, and well-being experience, and being experience well. Story 97. A baker told the Buddha she feared aging. Her hands stiffened, her eyesight blurred, and younger bakers worked faster. She worried the village would forget her. The Buddha tasted her bread. It carries decades of care, he said. No hurry can bake that. If you know biting, she realized time had seasoned her hands the way dough rests before rising. You may feel this skills changing, energy shifting, fearing your value decreasing. But time can deepen what speed cannot. Distilled, age doesn't erase worth, it ferments it. Practice. Think of one quality age has given you wisdom, calm, humor. Let that flavor your breath tonight. I will not 59's attract to. Story 98. A monk avoided difficult conversations. He feared hurting others or losing their trust. So he stayed silent even when truth was needed. The Buddha picked a thorn from a branch. A sharp truth can prevent deeper pain. He said, silence can be another thorn. Yes, the monk understood that honesty, gently spoken, protects more than it harms. You might know this avoiding conflict at work or with family, hoping peace will grow from silence. But avoidance often plants more worry. Distilled, kindness can speak plainly. Practice. Imagine one honest sentence you could say with softness. Let your breath shape its tone. Today, in said, and mazik, in today, and not ws. Story 99. A scholar questioned the Buddha endlessly. He wanted certainty, answers sealed, concepts complete. Each doubt turned into another question. The Buddha pointed to a horizon at sunset. You can walk there forever and never touch it. He said, some truths are lived, not held. 10 Stow. The scholar felt the tension leave his mind. Certainty became less urgent. You may feel this needing to figure it all out before resting, at work or in life decisions. But some clarity arrives only through experience. Distilled, walk your questions. Practice, choose one mystery in your life and let it be open. Breathe and allow space instead of answers. In now anan, in the fist, and dancely, was a thing. Story 100. A mother came to the Buddha weary from caring for many children. She loved them deeply. Yet her own needs vanished under endless tasks. She felt guilty wanting rest. The Buddha handed her a cup of cool water. Drink first, he said. Then you can pour. Of now the Dooney Fivel stops, and the Dooney Fivels, and the Dooney Fivels stops, and the Dooney Fivels. She understood that care must include the caregiver. You may know this giving everything to work, family, or those depending on you. Forgetting you're human too. Rest is not selfish, it's sustenance. Distilled, care begins where you breathe. Practice, lie back and take 3 slow breaths for yourself, not for anyone else. Let rest return to your body like water to roots. Feel the night around you, quiet as a held breath, gentle as the hush just before dreaming. You've traveled far tonight, not in miles, but inward, through rivers of thought, through the open sky of awareness, into the spaciousness behind your own mind. Now everything is softer. You've met the river that does not resist the stones, the ocean that receives every wave, the candle flame that trembles but does not lose its light, and the moon that rises without effort. All of it has been leading you here, to the tenderness of this moment, to the sweetness of rest. Nothing more to learn, nothing more to seek, just the quiet breathing of the universe unfolding inside you. Feel your breath again, slow, like a tide returning to shore. The body unwinds itself. The heart settles like snow falling to earth. Thoughts drift in the distance. Soft clouds crossing a wide, open sky. They no longer pull at you. You no longer chase them. As if a gentle hand has loosened, the knot of the day. You are the stillness beneath the river. You are the vastness beneath the sky. Outside your window, the night holds everything, the trees in their silent prayer, the stars breathing ancient light, the moon offering silver paths across the dark, and you are held too. Let your mind rest like a boat carried by calm water. Each breath is an oar you no longer need to lift. The river knows where it flows. There is a great kindness in letting go, a sweetness in releasing the weight you once believed was yours alone. Listen, the silence is singing around you, a lullaby older than any language, a wisdom older than memory. The heart understands its meaning, even when the mind is quiet. Feel the warmth inside your chest, a candle protected from the wind. Its glow reaches every part of you, softening the muscles of the face, loosening the jaw, melting the last tension from the temples, smoothing the belly down through the legs, into the soles of the feet, relaxed, safe, carried. Tonight, there is nothing you must hold. The world keeps turning. The stars keep burning. Life continues its gentle weaving without your effort. Rest is your offering now. Your breath becomes slower, just the rise and fall of a small boat rocking on a quiet sea. In the darkness, the mind becomes spacious. In the spaciousness, peace appears. See how thoughts come, soft, like waves sliding to shore. See how they go, back into the deep. Even memories drift away, like feathers lifted by a passing breeze. You are lighter now, almost weightless. The day has dissolved into the tender darkness of night. Every inhale, a tide coming home. Every exhale, a leaf falling from a branch. You don't need to try to sleep. Sleep is already arriving, walking barefoot across the quiet field of your mind, like a friend returning after a long journey. The moonlight touches the edges of your awareness, turning every thought to silver before letting them fade into the wide, velvet sky. You are resting in the cradle of the present moment. Nothing before, nothing after. Only this breath, this softness, this gentle sinking into the warm embrace of rest. Let your mind drift like a silk ribbon in water. Let the edges of the world blur into a simple feeling of being here, being safe, being held. Your body remembers how to sleep. It remembers the path to the quiet forest inside the heart, where the wind whispers through the leaves of forgotten dreams. Let yourself wander there. Tonight, the universe is close, not above you, but within you. The same stars burning in the sky are glowing in your cells. The same silence outside your window is echoing in your heart. Feel that unity, that gentle belonging, that soft merging with everything. Breathing in, you receive the world. Breathing out, you return yourself to its arms. All is well. All is whole. The candle melts into a pool of light. The river flows under a bridge of moonlight. The ocean rocks you in a cradle made of waves. The sky wraps you in a blanket woven from silence. You are home. Let the words fade now, becoming echoes in a dream you hardly notice. Let the breath be enough. Let the stillness be complete. Drift like a leaf floating downstream. Drift like stars sliding across the night. Drift into the softness waiting for you just beneath the next breath. You are already there. Sleep